Hi, this is Jan here from filmdev.com. Today we're gonna make this. So that's it. So if you want to make something similar, you need two plugins from Video CoPilot. And the first one is the free Saber plugin, which is an awesome plugin. You can make all kinds of cool stuff with it, and you get TIE fighter models, and you get some free Saber models, and you also get the X-Wing model. And of course, it's totally free. And the other plugin you need is the Element 3D plugin, which is unfortunately not free, but really awesome if you want to place 3D models in 3D space in After Effects. I'll make sure to post a link for both plugins in the blog post, which is a breakdown of this tutorial on my blog, filmdev.com. So, let's get started. Okay, this is actually my first tutorial ever on YouTube, so please comment below and make some suggestions as to how I can improve. Here is some footage I prepared with my lovely girlfriend. As you can see, it was snowing, and I bought this cheap plastic lightsaber from Amazon just to have something to track. And I had hoped my 2-year-old son would be the Jedi in this, but he was just like that. No way, it's snowing, I'm gonna go build a snowman. So I kept bugging my girlfriend, and after a bit of nagging, she reluctantly approved. And look at those lightsaber skills. It's pretty impressive, actually, I think. So, okay. So, what we need to do here, we need to use the Saber plugin, and we need to track that lightsaber. Okay, so first I'm going to do is I'm going to add a solid, and I'll just go over here to the effects panel. It's over here somewhere, and go to Video CoPilot and add the Saber plugin. I'll just drag it down there. Okay, so that's the basic Saber, and as you can see, it's blue. And I think since my girlfriend's she's going to fight a X-Fighter, it definitely needs to change this color to something sinister, like, I don't know, red or something like that. And I'll just check if there's one of the presets which would fit, but I think I'll just go with the default. Okay, so I'll go down, I'll make it red instead. And let's go over here and try to tweak the core a bit. Maybe add some more glow. Maybe some more spread of the glow on the surroundings. And change the glow near the core. Or maybe change the core size. Well, let's see. We need to check this when it's overlaid on the actual footage. And down here we can change the roundness of this start, and we can offset the start. So you can do this for animation if you want to, but we're not going to use this here. We're just going to animate the start point and the end point, and maybe we'll add a bit of flicker so it's kind of breathing. Okay, so let's see. This seems like a good point. Okay, and we can add a bit of distortion if you want to. You can add like flames and stuff, so you can see here. And now let's check it on the footage. So we've changed the Saber to screen. As you can see, we have snow coming down, so I think I'll add some wind direction to the actual distortion. and we can do that for both of the clips, of course. Okay, now it's time to start animating the saber blade, and we're just gonna make this simple and animate the start of the blade and the end point of the blade. So I'll just put the start and end point so it matches the plastic blade of this toy, and let's increase the core size a bit and maybe add some more spread to the glow so we can see it on her leg. It kind of sells the illusion a bit more that the blade actually, you can see it illuminate the footage. Oh, and we'll just check the bias a bit. Okay, so I've added some keyframes for the start point and end point, and as you can see, it can be a bit hard to see the actual core, especially when the snow is white. So if you go to overlay, it's much easier because you can see the plastic blade behind it. So it becomes much easier to actually animate the saber blade. So you just move forward one frame or backward one frame, and this is just tedious work. You just need to pull through and animate frame by frame, and then you'll have a saber. Okay, so now I've animated the lightsaber, and we'll just pre-compose this, the first clip with the saber, into a pre-composition and move it down. I think it's just so it's easier to see. And now we need to move over to the next clip, and well, the first part is you need to animate the saber for all this amazing Jedi, or should I say Sith skills my girlfriend is pulling off here. And I've just copied the saber so you can see. So we have the same settings, and then it's just back to work. Okay, so I've animated the lightsaber blade, and as you can see, we have a problem with the blade actually being above my girlfriend's head, and also when it started just above her leg. So we need to mask out these things, but we need to keep the glow from the saber actually illuminating her pants. So let's see how we do this. We need to just adjust these, and I need to guess here where the saber might be when she's standing. You can see the glow behind her legs is still working. So you need to kind of guess where. Okay, her arm is moving this direction. Where would the blade be in 3D space? So now we need to make a mask. So we need to mask out the saber blade, but we need to keep the glow. So I'll just start making mask here, and then I need to animate its path. Oh, sorry about that. I have an old mouse. It keeps double clicking when it actually should just make a single click. Come on. There you go. So now I've added a mask, and when I press subtract, nothing happens. That's because we need to go over here and set the alpha, and I'll enable the mask. And as you can see, we have the glow, but it looks weird. It's on top of her clothes, jacket. We don't need that. So we just need the glow when we can actually see the saber. So I'll just change this to the mask core. And now look what happens when I start to animate the path of the mask. I'll just go down here, and we will on second thought, let's just add some feather, because it was a pretty fast mask. I didn't do a very precise job at that. And maybe we should also add a little bit of pixels to the expansion. Look at her right leg. You can see her trousers on the other side of the mask. Okay, so now let's add a keyframe to the mask path, and let's start animating the path. And look what happens here. As soon as we see the saber, the glow starts to shine on the back of the cloth, which really helps sell the illusion, I think. And thumbs up to a shout out to Andrew Kramer for programming this. This is just an amazing plugin, and I can't believe it's free. It blows my mind every time I use it. So, yes, back to work. There you go, and now we need to do the same for the head and the hat. So let's add another mask, and yeah, well, I won't bother you with that, so let's just skip ahead. Okay, so now it's time to track the camera of the scene and create a 3D space, and I'm gonna use the inbuilt camera tracker in Adobe After Effects. Here you can select if it's a tripod pan or a typical scene. I'm gonna use typical because it's definitely not on a tripod. And here a fixed angle of view. Yes, I don't zoom the lens, and I can't remember the angle of view, so I can't really specify it. The angle of view is actually the focal length you're using. And it's done. And let's track the scene, and let's see if we can find somewhere to put a plane which actually fits the ground, so we can place a X-wing in the scene. We have a problem here. Probably because of all the snow, it wasn't able to track it, so I have made a detailed analysis of the scene instead and created a 3D space. And you can see we have a lot of more tracking points here. And let's see if I can find a good place to find. There's a good spot there, and maybe up there. We have to find something which actually is level with the ground, like here. And if I press and hold, you can see when I move the bullet point, it actually fits the horizon of the actual horizon of the scene very well. So that could be a point. I'll see if I can find a point closer to where I actually want to place the X-wing. Maybe here, but then we have a point on the, well, we have a point of the lamppost. Well, it might do. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's really trial and error. Look at those. That won't work because it's too skewed. This one could be a candidate as well. Yeah, you can see the horizon where it just ends up as like where the actual horizon actually is. So let's create a camera. Now I've created a 3D camera. And there you can see it from 4 different angles. And let's see how it actually moves. You can see it tries to adapt to the scene all the time. And now something weird happened. Yeah, that was to be expected, because in the middle of the scene between the 2 buildings, there is absolutely nothing for the camera to track. It's just sky. So it is really having a hard time tracking the scene. So let's try and add a X-wing to the scene and see what happens. We do that by creating a new solid. I'll call it X-wing, and go down to Effects and Video CoPilot and drag in the Element 3D plugin. Go to Scene Setup. I just need to load a bit. There you go. And I've already imported the X-wing from the pack. and I'll choose this one and align to bottom. Okay, and there you go. We have an X-wing. Now we just need to make it actually fit somewhere where it looks natural in the scene. So we'll need to change the particle look and the rotation and the placement along the X and C axis. And so this is really trial and error, and see if we can get it to fit somewhere where it looks natural in the scene. I'll just try and some stuff out here. I'll just move it here along the x-axis, and now you can see that it's actually pointing away from my girlfriend. So we need to rotate it a bit along the y-axis. This is really trial and error, and that there you see we have unable to solve the camera for this frame. That's a given. So we can just need this. I'll just hide this warning banner. We can just use this track for the beginning, and then we need to do some magic for the end of the scene to see if we can get that handheld shakiness into the movement of the X-wing at the end of the scene. So here the X-wing is taking a nosedive, and there you go. Okay, I just need to see how long we can actually use the track for. Okay, so let's start adjusting the X-wing and see if we can get it to point the right direction, and so we can start animating it. Okay, so now I've made a small animation. We have the X-wing going up along the lamppost there, and now we need to spread the wings so it can fly. We can do that by actually animating the channel and the auxiliary channels here. Okay, there we go. It was this third one. We just need to rotate it a bit, and it needs to start closed. And up there, it needs to open up. I don't know, where does it look natural? Around, I don't know, 11, 12, 13, I don't know. You can always go back and change this, but we'll call it 14 for now. Okay, so now look, it rises, and it's ready to shoot. And I've tried to time this so it just reaches the top and then starts shooting before my girlfriend starts to show off her impressive lightsaber fencing skills. Kylo Ren or Darth Maul have nothing on her, that's for sure. Okay, and there it starts to nosedive. So we need to delete some of the keyframes on the 3D camera tracker. Okay, and I'll just delete these keyframes like this and keep the last one so we can change the value of the Y position so it actually matches the value of the Y position there, so it doesn't take a nosedive. So let's see, where do we have this? So we need to change this. Whoa, this is going to take a while. We'll just add in 600. Okay, so now the X-wing should actually stay airborne and not take a nosedive as the camera starts to pan up. Yep. So now we can start animating the path of the X-wing. And this is really tedious work. You need to decide a path and kind of keyframe by keyframe just rotate it and make it go the way you want it. And as you can see, we need to add, because the camera tracker stops around here, yeah, there. So we need to add in that camera shake later on, because else it would look very shaky in the beginning, and just a clean path for the rest, and that will look unnatural if the X-wing was just flying in a straight path and the buildings and the lamppost and stuff is just shaking underneath it. So I'll just start doing this and fast forward. Okay, so I have keyframed the X-wing, and whoops, it looks like it bumps into the building there. And you can see it looks unnatural because I'm shaking with the camera, and the X-wing just flies a nice path, but we can tweak that later. For now, to sell the illusion even more, I'll just duplicate the footage and mask out that lamppost so it looks like the X-wing is more an integral part of the scene. This is also tedious work, but it's basically the same you have to do with this. You mask out the lamppost and then you animate it by frame. With shaky footage like this, I don't think it will make sense to track it, so I'll just do it by hand, because in my experience the camera tracker really can't handle this kind of shakiness. Okay, so I've animated the lamppost, and now the X-wing, I'll just put the X-wing above it and the lamppost above the X-wing, and now the X-wing should be behind the lamppost, I think. Yes. And the saber should still be that's on top, because that's it's not on now, but it's the thing closest to the camera. Whoops. And there we have it bumps into the building. I'll just tweak that later. But we need to do something about this building here, because to sell the illusion further, we want the building to appear above the X-wing, or in front of the X-wing. So, back to work. Okay, so I've masked out the building, so the X-wing flies behind it, and now I need to add in some of the camera shake from the building. And I'll do this by going up to the Mocha, inbuilt Mocha, version of Mocha in After Effects. And I'll just use it to track the shake of the building. Because that's the only information we actually have. The rest is just sky. So we need to find something with a bit of contrast, which we can actually track. And I think we need to track both the building and then maybe do another track with the lamppost afterwards. And maybe even a third track of the building just before the gap, where there's only sky in the frame. So we'll just start this by creating, I can't remember what's it called in Mocha, those splines or something like that. Okay, so we'll just, whoops, maybe track this black box if it has not enough contrasts. I'll add a bit of wiggle room, and let's see if it can handle this. Nope, that didn't work. Okay, so we need to find something with even more contrast. Maybe the actual concrete of the building. I'll just delete this layer here. Or maybe just adjust these. Okay, so this doesn't work, so I'll just delete this and move forward a bit and track that corner instead. We have a bit more contrast between the concrete and the building. So I'll do this, and this is just tracking work, so I'll just fast forward, I think. Maybe just, yeah. And I'll do the same with the lampposts later. I think I'll just fast forward through this. Okay, so I've tracked the corner of the building and I've tracked the lamppost. Because the corner of the building disappears out of the frame as I pan the camera and the X-wing moves forward. So we need some kind of shake for the last part of the scene. So I'll just add a new null, because I need to use this tracking data somehow to create shake. And we'll just call this lamppost track. Okay. And now we need to go down to Mocha. And we'll create the transform data. And we'll just create the track data from layer 2 it was. That's the building track data. And I'll apply it to the building track null. Okay, so now we have a null in the scene, which has the tracking data. And I'll just make another null for the lamppost and apply the tracking data to that as well. So now we have two sets of data, which includes rotation and scale and position. And I don't think we need the rotation and scale. I think we just need that X and Y shakiness. So maybe we should just hide this, and we'll start with the data from the building. Okay, now you can see the null, which actually contains the shakiness of the camera, and we need to apply this to the X-wing. And how do we do that? Well, first of all, I'm going to wait a minute. Yeah, maybe I'll just delete all the tracking data I don't need where the null is actually outside of the frame. So we need to just use the tracking data over to that cluster there of data, and the rest is just noise actually, because Mocha tried to keep tracking when the building was actually not in the frame. So right around there. And I'll just do the same for the lamppost actually. I'll just fast forward because it's pretty boring. Just a second. Okay, so now we have the tracking data ready, and I've duplicated the X-wing, and we need to we just need the X-wing for this part, because if we add the tracking data to the other X-wing, we're gonna have a problem, because it's probably gonna mess up the original track and the camera track as well. So I'll just make a copy of the X-wing, and we will need to pick whip this to the tracking data from Mocha. So I'll try and pick whip the position to the building track, and whoop, we get an error, and that is because the X-wing is in 3D space, but the building track is in 2D space. So we need to pre-compose the X-wing track, so it becomes a 2D space as well. And I'll just call it X-wing building comp. There you go. So now we have a 2D space. So we should be able to pick whip the position of the pre-composed X-wing track. It's difficult to say, and just There you go. So now we have, you can see the X-Wing just moves out of the frame, but it actually moves slightly up and down and follows the shakiness of the building, which is actually the shakiness of my hand when I filmed the scene. This is cool. Okay. But we don't want the X-Wing to move out of the frame, so we need to animate the position of the frame, so it's the X-Wing stays about the same place to the left of the center in the screen. So I'll just add some animation to the anchor points and simply move the X-Wing, the whole precomposed X-Wing in. And I do this by animating the anchor point of the null. So there you go, and let's see, there you go, and we have the X-Wing, and it actually, as you can see, as long as the building is in the frame, the X-Wing actually follows the shakiness of the building, and it helps sell the illusion. So I'll just do the same for the other track with the lamppost. Okay, so now here I have duplicated the track again, and as you can see, we have actually 3 X-Wings, so we need to line them up so you can't see I've faked this. And I'll just do that by lowering the opacity of the lamp X-Wing, and then it's just a matter of tweaking so they are perfectly on top of each other. So it's kind of like that old fable with the turtle and the hare, where there actually are a lot of turtles. Now we have a lot of X-Wing just taking over from each other. I'll just do this. There, okay. Now you really can't see, we actually have 2 X-Wing going on at the same time. So I'll just add in the opacity. Oh, that's a slight change, but I don't think anyone will notice. You can, of course, tweak this to absolute perfection, but for the sake of this tutorial, I think we'll just say it's good enough for now. And then, of course, you need to do the same for the lamppost tracking data. And I'll just fast forward, and it's just the same. You need to animate the anchor point and so forth. Okay, so now I've animated the anchor points of the pre-composed extra X-Wings, and you can see this. Well, the X-Wing could have been animated a bit better, but for the sake of this tutorial, it works just fine, I think. And you can see it shakes here near the lamppost at the end. Okay, so now we need to add some laser blasts, and I'll just do that with the Saber plugin as well. And the process is actually the same. I add a solid, and then you go to the effects and choose the Saber plugin, and just drag it onto the solid, and there you have a nice lightsaber. And I think for the sake of this, maybe it would make sense to... Okay, the X-Wing needs to start blasting away just as at around the same time my girlfriend starts wavering the lightsaber. Whoops, again I have trouble with my mouse button, sorry about that. I'll just make a short blast here. Okay, so I can't remember what color the X-Wing is. It green or something like that? Green laser? Yeah, the hope, the color of hope. So the process is the same as with animating lightsaber. You need to animate the core start point, and you need to animate the end point. And again, this is kind of tedious work, so I'll just fast forward. But the point is, you need to find a line which actually makes sense, so it doesn't, shoot in a weird direction, and it needs to be timed with the waving of the lightsaber. So you can see here, I'll just make a small blast up here, and then, well, you can add some, if you got some stock footage of some small explosion or something like that, you could add that to the cannons up there, just to add a bit of extra effect, and make it seem like a bigger blast. Here, I'll just see if I can animate here, see if it hits the saber around there. I'm not sure if the angle is good, but we'll tweak that later. And I'll just, I don't know, she waves the lightsaber to the left, so I'll make the deflected blast go out to the left side of the frame as well. So, but as I said before, I'll just fast forward, because this is just a lot of the same. So we'll do that. Okay, so now I've animated these saber blasts the way I like them, and now it's time to do some color grading. And I've just added the geometric color, which is built into After Effects, and I added the creative blue still, because I used that on the footage as well when I prepared it for this tutorial. And I just tweaked the blacks and the shadows and the whites a bit to make it, the X-Wing kind of fit the rest of the footage. So let's see here. You can see here it goes behind the building. It's a bit too dark, but it probably needed to, maybe the exposure should have been a bit up, but we'll live with it for now for this tutorial. Okay, so now you can see the building has some motion blur to it, and the X-Wing doesn't. So we need to add some kind of directional motion blur, and we'll just go to effects here, and there you go. I'll just drag that into the scene. To the footage with the X-Wing. Okay, and here we can change the direction, and it needs to follow the direction of the pan. And I'll just tweak the blur length so it kind of matches the building, and maybe a bit more, because it's moving and it's about to enter outer space. So we'll animate the motion blur, so it, well, maybe 10 here, and then we go back, and then we say here it doesn't move that fast, so we can, oh yeah, we also need to make some motion blur as it moves up, but I'll animate that later. So I'll just tweak this down, set that to 0, because it's kind of standing still here. And yeah, I'll just add some motion blur and animate it to different parts of the scene, and just fast forward. Okay, so I've decided that it would be fun to add some sparks to the scene. When the blasters hits the lightsaber, I want some sparks flying around. And I've imported this stock footage of some metal sparks I thought I could use, and as you can see, there's a lot of random sparks. I could just use small pieces here and there and just mask out the sparks I want to use. So I'll just add these to the scene and go over here, and let's see, we need to find a laser blast. There we have the first one, and there it touches the lightsaber and is deflected. Okay, so here we go. Oh, we need to change the mat to screen, and I don't know, let's see, maybe those are too small, I don't know. I'll just tweak these a bit, maybe rotate it a bit, and maybe change the scale a bit, and then I'll start masking out the sparks I want to use. I'll just fast forward a bit, I think. Okay, so I've animated the sparks and the masks, and I think they look pretty good actually. So now it's time to add some sound effects, and for that I'm going to use Premiere Pro. Okay, so I've just made some quick sound design for this scene. I've added some hum to the lightsaber and some basic jet engine noise to the X-Wing. And I'll put a link to where I bought these from in Vato, I think it was. And then I have added some swishes, or what is it called, lightsaber swishes and swings. And now, yep, we have some deflecting sound of the blasts, the laser blast being deflected. And what I've done also, I have let's see, I've added some phaser, because I only had two deflecting sounds, or two laser blast sounds, not deflecting sounds. So I added a phaser to just kind of make each a little bit different from the others. And I also did that to the deflecting sounds, just to add a little bit of variation. So it doesn't seem like, doesn't seem like I only had two sounds to play with. And I'll just go back here. What did I do? Yes, I also animated the balance or the panning of the sound. So here we have a deflecting sound, and I thought it would be cool to kind of see the laser beam is going out the right side of the frame, and I'll just animate the sound or the panning so the sound also goes out the right side of the frame. It's pretty basic stuff, but it helps sells the illusion. And then I of course added some a little bit of music. I also bought from some, I can't remember what stock site it was. Maybe it was Motion Array. Oh yeah, and also I added just some simple text, and gave it a color that looked Star Wars-ish, and that also some more text. I'll put a link in the description on filmdaft.com in the blog post about this tutorial. I'll put a link in the description to where you can find these sound effects and these types, letter types, so you can make the text yourself looks like it's from the intro of the Star Wars. Well, yeah, that's actually it. We end up with this. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please subscribe, please comment and give me critique, and tell me what you would like to see or improve in next tutorial. And that's it for now. Bye.